Everyone keeps arguing about AGI as if it's a physical destination on a map for AI. But if you ask 5 AI executives, researchers, or doomsdayers what artificial general intelligence actually means, you will get 5 completely different definitions. Some say it's an AI that can do any human job. Others say it's an AI that can learn anything computable. And some just want a machine that can make a decent cup of coffee in a random kitchen. We are making billion-dollar bets and civilizational predictions using a term that no one agrees on. A recent paper by a team including Yann LeCun titled AI Must Embrace Specialization via Superhuman Adaptable Intelligence makes a different argument. The problem isn't just that we are bad at defining AGI. The problem is that the concept of AGI is built on a massive, arrogant myth about ourselves. The paper argues that human intelligence is not actually general, and that chasing a monolithic, do-everything AI is a terrible North Star for the industry. From this paper's perspective, let's talk about why most people are wrong about AGI and what we should be building instead. The illusion of generality. The assumption behind almost every AGI definition is that human beings are the ultimate template for general intelligence. We assume that because an educated adult can learn to drive a car, write a poem, and do calculus, we are universally adaptable. But from a biological perspective, this is a flattering illusion. As someone who spent years in a bioengineering PhD program, I can tell you that evolution doesn't build generalists. It builds highly tuned specialists. We feel like our intelligence is general simply because we cannot perceive our own blind spots. Think about Moravic's paradox. The things that feel effortless to us, like walking across a messy room or doing the dishes, are incredibly hard for computers. Meanwhile, the things that feel like the pinnacle of human genius, like playing grandmaster-level chess, are trivial for a basic AI. Magnus Carlsen is widely considered the greatest chess player in history, but as the paper points out, Magnus is not objectively good at chess. He is only good at chess relative to human biological limits. A modern chess engine can easily destroy him. Humans are completely incapable of doing thousands of tasks, from echolocation to high-dimensional statistical inference, because those skills weren't required for our ancestors to survive on the savannah. We aren't general. We are just highly specialized for a very specific, narrow, evolutionary niche. Why AGI definitions collapse? If human intelligence isn't actually general, then defining AGI as an AI that can do anything a human can do immediately falls apart. It's an inherent contradiction. The paper maps out most popular AGI definitions and shows how they fail for at least one of 3 reasons. First, some definitions are theoretically impossible. The no free lunch theorem in machine learning proves that no single algorithm can be optimal for every possible problem. If you have finite compute and finite energy, trying to distribute it across an infinite number of tasks means your performance on any individual task will approach 0. True universal generality is an engineering fantasy and simply does not work. Second, definitions based on human abilities are internally inconsistent. If we benchmark AI against human cognitive versatility, we are arbitrarily limiting the AI. Why should the ultimate goal of AI be restricted to the exact same blind spots and biases that humans have? And third, many AGI definitions are impossible to assess. If your goal is a system that can do any economically valuable work, how do you actually measure that? You end up with a consistently moving goalpost, testing an endless, expanding checklist of arbitrary tasks. The replacement: Superhuman Adaptable Intelligence. This brings us to the core of the paper. We need to throw out AGI and replace it with a better metric. SAI is defined as an intelligence that can rapidly adapt to exceed humans at important tasks we can do, while also adapting to high-utility tasks completely outside the human domain. Notice the shift here. The goal is no longer a static checklist of can it pass the bar exam or can it write a Python script. The central metric of SAI is adaptation speed. It measures how efficiently a system can acquire a new, useful skill under realistic resource constraints. This embraces specialization instead of fighting it. In both nature and economics, specialization wins. If you want a system to fold proteins and revolutionize biology, you build AlphaFold. If you ask that same system to fold proteins and fold your laundry, it is going to be worse at folding proteins than a dedicated specialist would be, and vice versa. The future of AI isn't one monolithic brain that does everything. It's an ecosystem of deeply specialized modular systems that can adapt and compose themselves on the fly. The future is specialized. Right now, everyone is pouring billions into the exact same autoregressive large language models, hoping that if we just make the next token prediction engine big enough, AGI will magically emerge. But these models have their known flaws. Their errors compound over large horizons, and they are incredibly brittle when asked to plan in complex environments. That is exactly why major AI companies are now building specialized tools and agentic harnesses for these LLMs to use. Even if the central brain is still an autoregressive model, the industry is implicitly admitting what this paper argues. True capability requires modular specialization. SAI gives us a different, much more practical roadmap. It points towards self-supervised learning, where models learn the underlying structure of the world from raw data rather than just human labels. It points toward world models that can simulate environments and plan ahead without the necessity of language. And most importantly, it demands architectural diversity instead of a one-size-fits-all approach. We don't need a single AI that perfectly mimics human generality, because human generality is a myth. We need systems that are specialized enough to actually matter, but adaptable enough to keep learning. So maybe the real question isn't when do we get AGI? Maybe the question is why we ever thought human limitations were the finish line in the first place.